Great American Bash Fallout episode of NXT not only dealt with the event of the past weekend but also had a heavy AAA present. EK Prosper was supposed to have his first big opportunity this week, facing Vikingo for the Latin American Championship, but Keanu Carver attacking the champ changed those plans. We also saw Parker take on Petrovic and several other big matches, but we started things off with a recap of the show, and Kendall Gray made her way out to celebrate becoming a new women's champion. She spoke about being more nervous to speak to the crowd than wrestling a title match. She also said she grew up not knowing how to handle losing, so every time it happened to her, it made her doubt herself in NXT. When Sinclair came out with a cake to help her celebrate, Kalani Jordan showed up and said she deserves a shot at the title, but Tatum arrived from the crowd to attack her while Gray and Sinclair ate the cake in the ring. We discussed Gray's in-ring ability becoming above average at this stage in her career many times, but the one thing we never talk about is her character. She doesn't look like a gimmick because she's not. She is who she is. She's an athlete who has not had great success in other places before coming to WWE. The promo felt genuine in every way, as a few do in NXT. Everyone is trying to perfect a character, but this felt like Gray showing her actual insecurities before showing that she's overcoming them. The segment may not have been perfect, but the initial promo was a good start for Gray's title reign. Next up, it was the Vanity Project versus Wagner Jr. and Galano for the tag titles. And yeah, real life brothers on the AAA side challenge for the title. So the champs were giving up a lot of size and experience to challenge this bout. So Wagner and Galano are pretty dominant early. The champs made it more competitive during and after the break. The match had a brisk pace and some fun spots. It felt a bit paint by numbers with predictable swings of momentum, but I didn't hurt it too much. All four guys worked hard to make it feel like a hard contest. Wagner's always a standout, but Smokes and Baylor with the stars here, and not just because they won. They've grown a lot since arriving on the scene and have developed into a solid duo that has potential. So 6 out of 10. As we then moved on to Jackson Drake versus Mason Rook, Vanity Project didn't have to leave the ring after their win because Drake was in a singles matchup here. Rook had a lot of advantages over Drake from a physical standpoint, so the former Evolve champion felt like a big underdog. He may have had the speed and agility advantage, but Rook wasn't too far behind those areas. The weirdest moment came from Booker T seemingly accepting a video call from Hendricks in the middle of the match, which was somehow tied into the production truck, a broadcast on the screen. It felt incredibly random and completely stalled the match in its place. Rook and Drake did a good job regaining their momentum after the random delay. Drake had a lot of upstands, but Rook has been even more impressive in his short time in NXT. His definition of don't judge a book by its cover. They turned the second half of this match into a very competitive fight that had the crowd attention. If both of these guys continue on these paths they're on, they could be tremendous rivals for a long time. Rook successfully fought off Baylor and Smokes despite the distraction, gave Drake the chance to hit the backside for the win, with Maya Lockwood holding Rook's feet to prevent him from kicking out. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. We then moved on to Keanu Carver versus EK Prosper. Last week, Prosper defeated Carver to earn the title shot he was supposed to have this week against Vikingo, but Carver attacking the champ forced the GM to put his match with Prosper in bed. These are two very different kind of wrestlers. Carver's a powerhouse brute and Prospect is a high flyer, so they fell into the David v. Goliath category. Carver's very convincing with his aggression. A lot of people take years to come across legitimately dangerous the way he does already. Prosper has shown himself to be a great prospect with lots of potential and did a great job selling for Carver in this match to make him look dominant. This week better than their encounter for last week, especially for Carver. Unfortunately for him, Tank showed up and sent him into the barricade to get revenge for what Carver did to Hank at the Great American Bash. Prosper took advantage and hit a huge moonsault for the win. Both these guys will have a lot to learn, but this was a serviceable match that made both look strong in different ways. So I'm going to give it 5 out of 10. We then got Jada Parker versus Carmen Petrovic, with both looking to add to their win column after coming out short in recent outings. Petrovic was flanked by Natty in their new stable, so Parker was already at a disadvantage as the match got underway. Both have great athletes and a lot of charisma, but it felt like there was a disconnect somewhere in this bout. It wasn't a bad match, but it felt like they never really found their groove. There were some clunky moments that showed it down and a few minor miscommunications. Natty's attack on Parker in the middle seemed to fire out, having the opposite effect to what Natty wanted. Miss Parker scored a victory, and it's clear her feud with Natty's not over, so maybe we'll get to that next week. But yeah, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Moving on then to Tatum Paxley versus Kalani Jordan in the main event, and they got into fight during Gray's championship celebration at the top of the show. It was set up as a personal feud, and they did a good job making it feel like they hated each other. Gray was sitting on commentary, and the right as the show was about to go to break, she was attacked, which distracted Tatum long enough for Kalani to regain control. Other than the strange timing of the attack, it was an enjoyable main event. It wasn't the best thing we saw all night, and they had a few moments that didn't work, but both competitors made sure it wasn't forgettable. Jordan had signature and split-legged moonsault for the win. As Paxley was recovering, Nikki Blackheart attacked to make her debut, but WWE never used her name, so we don't know what she'd be called. But yeah, pretty cool moment. I can't wait to see what she does. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. And overall, this week's NXT gets a 5 out of 10 from me. It did a good job recapping the pape, but also setting a handful of feuds for the future, but did lack a bit of excitement. Most of the matches were decent, but none of them really stood out in a spectacular way. It felt like everything we saw was predictable too. Rook v Drake was the highlight, and if you should only watch one thing, it should be that. The other things NXT is still doing is still decent, which is giving women's division a lot of attention, especially with the main event, a good showcase of the two women. So yeah, good stuff on the whole. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. So that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.